Hello kiddies and welcome to another shaft-caressingly captivating episode of TechSpurt Weekly. And this week, gotta say, your Uncle Spurt has been sleeping like absolute shit, thanks to a frankly tiresome combination of the warm weather and also his big ol' stupid brain which just won't shut the fuck up at 3 o'clock in the morning. So today, instead of being groggy because I'm hungover or still a bit drunk, I'm groggy for a whole other reason. Hooray! But at least the bar for this show is already at about ankle height, so frankly the quality should not take a hit. Anyway, let's do the jingle thing while I f*** off my 13th cup of coffee of the day. TechSpurt Weekly! Honestly, thank the baby Jesus for this stuff. So let's begin with next week's big tech news up, which is of course Samsung's Galaxy Unpacked shindig, where we should see a number of expensive shiny new bastards thrust into the public eye, including bendy blowers, watches and fresh new earbuds. Unfortunately, Unpacked is once again an online launch rather than a real-life event, which means no free bar for your Uncle Spurt to rinse dry, which immediately lowers my interest about 80 to 85%. A couple of weeks back, we already had a good hard squint at those new foldable phones that Samsung is set to launch, the Z Fold 4 and the Z Flip 4. But Samsung is also expected to whip out a couple of fresh new smartwatches at Galaxy Unpacked, namely the Galaxy Watch 5 and the Galaxy Watch 5 Pro. And in true tech tradition, both of them have of course leaked all over the internet just like a soggy hanky filled with custard. According to EV Leaks, OnLeaks and a number of other leaky people, the regular Watch 5 may come in two different sizes, said to be 40 and 44 mils to suit both dainty and rather chunky wrists. Expect a small selection of colours and plenty of strap designs to customise that look, as well as a tough sapphire glass finish. The Galaxy Watch 5 Pro, meanwhile, is said to be even bigger at 45 mils, with a sunken screen to further protect it from impact damage, plus a proper nails titanium frame. And from those leaks, it looks like we won't get a snazzy rotating bezel on the Galaxy Watch 5 or the Pro Edition, which is a real bum because it was one of the best bits of the Galaxy Watch 5 Classic. Bring back our bezels, you buggers. And as well as that tough exterior, the Pro model is also rumoured to pack one seriously beefy battery, possibly as massive as 572 mAh, which really is one hell of a whopper. Really is one hell of a whopper, exactly what your mum said to me last night. Seriously, I'm running on like 20 minutes sleep here, so even decent your mum jokes are off the table completely. But of course a bigger battery is great and all, but we also need an energy efficient platform running the show, and unfortunately we already know that these Samsung watches won't be running the Qualcomm Snapdragon W5 Gen 1, which I banged on a couple of weeks prior, which we know is more energy efficient than all of its big rivals, including Samsung's Exynos efforts. So the question is, even with that massive battery boost, will the battery life on the Galaxy Watch 5 Pro not be cack? Well, we'll only truly know the answer to that when one is actually strapped to my pale, clammy wrist and I've given it a full old review, so I have to stay tuned for that, unfortunately. That is, if all of this necessary but still probably ill-advised caffeine abuse doesn't cause my heart to just explode inside of my chest. And if you're curious on price, well, OnLeaks has already revealed that the Galaxy Watch 5 will cost you between 299 and 379 euros, depending on the size and whether you want 4G support chucked in, while the Watch 5 Pro will cost from 469 to 499 euros. That is quite the considerable bump in price if you want the bigger battery and of course the extra tough boy cred as well. So kiddies, if you want that bigger model, well I guess you'd better start siphoning cash off from your mum's purse right about now. And we'll get all the official news on Wednesday the 10th when Unpacked is beamed to our faces via the internet. I for one will be watching with a cold can of Strongbow, pants entirely optional. And as for this week, well, OnePlus went ahead and launched its latest 2022 flagship, the OnePlus 10T, which is a bit of a strange one because in some ways it's better than the older OnePlus 10 Pro, and in some ways it's a bit more poo. Advantages include the more powerful Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 chipset, you've got improved antenna design, and crazy fast 150 watt wired charging. But on the flip side, that battery is slightly smaller, the camera tech is more basic, and they've only gone and killed the mother flippin' alert slider of all things. A move that they actually announced ahead of the launch, and as we discussed last week, went down about as well in the community as a turd sandwich with an extra thick dollop of gentleman's relish. However, the really weird part of the whole launch was the sudden, unexpected and enormous price drop that OnePlus laid on us literally about an hour or so before the launch. You see, during all of the briefings before the launch, they told us that this phone would cost from 799 Great British pounds, which seems a bit pricey for this particular smartphone. And then of course just before the launch they emailed around to say actually it would start from 629 quid, which is a big chunk of change less. And of course, I got in touch with OnePlus and asked them what on earth was going on, and I didn't actually get a response, but I'm guessing what happened was the press release dudes were probably smashing back the Lamborghinis a little hard and probably got a bit blurry-eyed when it came to jotting down the pricing, rather than OnePlus just suddenly deciding to slash almost 200 quid off the cost of its new smartphone. But anyways, my unboxing is live right now, you lucky buggers, and you can expect a full review to be spaffed out within the week if I don't decide to have a go at the Lamborghinis myself. And just to get you in the mood, here is a snippet of my big, full, sexy unboxing. Did I mention I absolutely adore how this completely captures the luxurious nature of my eyebrows every time? And best of all, this wasn't even the end of the random weird tech shenanigans this week as well, because just a few days ago, Motorola was set to hold a launch event over in China for its fresh new Moto X30 Pro and the Moto Razr 2022 as well. And then literally an hour or two before it was due to all kick off, they got in touch with everyone to say that the launch event had been canned. And Motorola GM Shen Jin gave literally no explanation as well. His exact words were that the event had been cancelled for some reason, which may have just been a case of really bad translation, or may have been a case of absolutely zero f***s given. We'll never really know. But yeah, hopefully at some point we'll see some fresh new Motorola flagship gear. And anyway, that's enough weird random shit for 1 week. Now it's time for the part of the show that is just straight up pure shit. It's viewer comments. I almost forgot the name of the part of the show that I've literally done 120 episodes of now. F*** now. Viewer comments. Oh, me. Oh, I drank that too fast. That's too hot to drink that fast. So comments. Let's see what lovely comments we have this week. And as you'd imagine, there was of course much consternation over OnePlus's decision to ditch that alert slider from the 10T, wherever the this fucking thing is. So Brewski Bob says, oh excuse me, no, he definitely did not say that. He said, literally one of the main selling points was the alert slider. Why don't all phones come with this? John said, no, not the mute slider, it is so useful. And It's a Bingo said, no more notification slider, hello iPhone, here I come. I mean, you know, there's the verdict right there. Literally nobody seems to be happy with the fact that OnePlus has ditched that alert slider. And you know, as much as I love the fact that it's now got the crazy fast charging speed, you know, you've got to wonder like how fast we actually need it to go, but that's a whole different debate. And of course the improved antenna, which seems to be working a charm on the OnePlus 10T. Had absolutely zero issues with connectivity whatsoever. But seriously, that alert slider was a massive USP and genuinely useful as well. So getting rid of it, just too much of a compromise, man. It's kind of like one day your doorbell goes, you answer it, there's Jesus Christ stood there on your doorstep, says, all right mate, just doing a little door-to-door action, just granting some wishes, anything I can do for you on this fine day? You're like, please can I have a 10-foot dongle? And he's like, of course you can mate, I'm Jesus chuffing Christ, schlongus alongus, boom, there you go, done. And it's great and all, you're having a good old time until you realise the compromise is that you can no longer get an erection without falling over and passing out a bit. Actually, no, it's not really anything like that at all, is it? All I've done there is just basically wasted about a minute of everyone's time and also probably offended the shit out of any Christians who are watching. So, you know, all in all, another highly successful episode. And I'm off to get more coffee. Oh, right, okay. Next up is Marcello, who says, I think the OnePlus 8T is the last worthwhile phone that OnePlus made. Right now, at $350, it's as good as most modern flagships, does everything it needs, the Snapdragon 865 is perfectly fine for everything, and it basically has the last great version of Oxygen OS. Yeah, quite a lot more love for some of the older OnePluses as well. Rango Django says, recently gone back to the OnePlus 7T, Chris. Still faultless even on Android version 11. OnePlus getting a lot of stick nowadays, but I'm still loving that 7T. Does everything I need, good for gaming, etc. What's your thoughts? Well, this is the thing, I mean, like OnePlus flagship smartphones, you know, they always have done and they always will do everything that you need them to do, basically. You know, you can do all the hardcore stuff, no worries. By hardcore stuff, I obviously don't mean nasty tentacle hentai. I mean, you know, playing games and things. And not just nasty tentacle hentai games, I mean just normal games that involve no form of invasive penile monster action. And what the f*** was the question again? Skipping on, Larry says, your channel could be better if you drop the swearing in your reviews. Maybe. I mean, my channel could be better if I did a lot of things, Larry, like if I actually had some proper production values for one. To be honest, I'm far too old and stuck in my ways to change now. It's far too late for all of that. And what do I do when, Apple releases another iPhone SE? Do I just say that it's a little bit poo and get on with my day? Hell no. There are times when you simply have to embrace the grimy, tawdry side of the English language and just say straight up that something is a shit-slurping sack of pickled arse. On the subject of naughty words, we've also heard back from Daniel, who you may remember was going for a job interview last week and was going to sneak in as much random British slang as possible in a bid to impress the interviewer. He says, I only got offered the job, congratulations mate, that's fantastic news. And found out on Techspert Weekly Day to boot, although I must confess my nerves got the better of me and I forgot my self-inflicted challenge to work in any of those phrases. Aw, boo. To be fair, the old day who was interviewing me could have ended up in a bad way if I'd said ball roasting to her. Yeah, fair play, although certainly up north the old dears swear just as much, if not more, than the rest of us. As like the last time I was on a Newcastle to London southbound train, got on the carriage, settled down, old dear behind me just announced to the entire fricking carriage in her loudest possible voice, I hate these fucking trains. Fair play, can't beat a sweary granny, that's for sure. Apple Cedar says, hi, ever thought of growing your hair out, Uncle Spurt? Would love to see that. Yeah, very much been there and done that, my friend. About 2 decades ago, believe it or not, I had a proper slick back 70s style disco do. But this was the days before Facebook and I was never on MySpace, so there is absolutely zero evidence on the internet that that was ever a thing. Thank Christ. Andy Rigby says, I'm rocking the iPhone XR at the moment and I'll soon be after a new blower. I'm quite tempted to head back to Android. Yeah, I don't blame you, mate. I was not a fan of the iPhone XR at all. That was their worst phone in quite some time, up until the iPhone SE 2022, in fact. I think you'll find most mid-range Androids these days crap all over the XR, and in fact, even back in the day when it was released, I would have said go mid-range Android instead of spunking up a hideous amount of money for that thing. So whatever you decide to go for, you should be happy. That's for damn sure. J Brimbellybap says, Spurt finally convinced me to buy an iPhone SE. I did no such thing, J Brimbellybap. You take that friggin' back, mate. 100% serious, I would recommend somebody trims their nasal hairs with a chainsaw before I would recommend them getting an iPhone SE 2022. One of those things you will regret a lot less than the other. Next up, Mad Mike says, apart from the iPhone 13 mini, can you recommend a good compact phone that's good for light gaming and YouTube only, please? So compact phone that's good for light gaming and the likes of YouTube, well, the Pixel 6a can handle light gaming. It depends what you mean by light gaming, because the likes of PUBG, Call of Duty, Wordle, stuff like that, they play absolutely fine. The more intensive stuff tends to judder quite a bit. Otherwise, there's the Sony Xperia 5, either the Mark II or the Mark III, depending on what you can find out there in the interwebs. Got some cracking performance and a really good selection of dedicated gaming tools as well, which are ideal for the likes of, again, the Call of Duties and the online titles and the like, but it sounds like that might be slightly overkill based on what you've said there. Next up, Tom Pearson says, Chris, all in caps. I currently have 2 years left on my iPhone 12 Pro Max. F me, I know. When that runs out, I'll be purchasing a 1 or 2 year old phone with cash and going SIM only. Which 2022 Android mobile would you recommend for literally taking photos, browsing social media, and great battery life with fast charging support? Bonus points if it's not Samsung. Oh, so many tech questions this week. Where's just the endless stream of slaphead comments and, chat about 1980s video nasties? Well, Samsung smartphones don't tend to have the quick battery charging anyway, so what I would say maybe go with is the Realme GT2 or the Realme 9 Pro Plus. They both basically all fit that criteria, got fast charging, good battery life, etc, etc. Otherwise, if you'd rather have the stronger software support, some more OS updates and security updates, then maybe go OnePlus Nord 2T instead. Oh, I'm out of coffee, sad face. Smithia says, let's hope the happy sack is okay. Thanks, buddy. I've suddenly got this really vivid image of people sending me greetings cards in the post. Sorry to hear your knackers are knackered. Wishing you a swift recovery for your battered bollocks. But yeah, if you're interested, happy sack update. After what felt like a precarious couple of hours or so, all is well. The boys are bouncing beautifully again. I just had to be really, really careful not to sit down too enthusiastically for a few days. Next up, Diggerless says, Spurt, I need to know where to get that long sleeved top you're wearing in this episode. What's the manufacturer? Well, as a man of extreme style, I tend to get most of my tees from good old H&M, including this one right here. They tend to be about sort of 4 or 5 quid. Good quality, and of course not so expensive that it's a massive trauma if you end up dropping your kebab and chili sauce right down it at 2 AM and proper f***ing it. Emma says, hailing from Phoenix, Arizona, loving the videos. Nice one, cheers Emma. Never been to Phoenix sadly, but hopefully one of these days. You know, the number of times I've been to bloody Vegas, it's only a quick jaunt from there, isn't it? So I really must give it a go. Another one to stick on the TechSpurt World Tour. Charles Burris says, military tech is decades ahead of consumer tech and they must be cackling at what we're getting excited for. Tech that we're just now seeing they already tossed in dumpsters back in the 1990s. Those zombie fellas probably had smartphones with flashing lights on them back when we were still jizzing ourselves silly over crazy frog ringtones. GLC says, will Motorola UK sell the newly announced G32? Great specs and design for under 200 quid. Yeah, I mean, we seem to be a little bit behind on the G series of late, but hopefully the G32 will come to the UK. I'd be surprised if they didn't, because I think the G30 or G31, whichever one was before, is still available. Zilla1408 says, I bought an iPhone 13 Pro back in December 2021. Great phone with a great camera, but I kind of wish I stuck with Samsung. Even though it's a great phone, the Apple ecosystem is really bland and boring. I miss the quirks and quality that Samsung has in their phones. I just wish that Samsung made more pocket-friendly flagships these days. Cheers from Canada. And greetings, my Canadian chum, and well, the S22 is pretty compact to be fair, but it's also a bit poo. And then of course you've got the Z Flip 4, which will be announced next week, so that should be, again, very, very dinky indeed, but also mega bloody expensive, so yeah, I have to start saving up for that one now. And last comment of the week, because I'm already 10 minutes over time, so Dominic says, Jason Statham, Jason Statham, Jason Statham. And a merry Jason Statham to you too, my friend. And that's all for this week, but a massive thanks to everyone who commented last week. Again, so many comments to plow through. A lot of fun reading those. But yeah, please do smash your questions, comments, whatever down below. Try not to make them quite so heavily tech related next week in case I once again get a shit week's sleep. Frankly, all advice dished out on this week's episode, you might want to discount just in case. And even though there's not really any time, let's have a quick look at what's coming next week.
This is about next week.
And as I already mentioned multiple bloody times, it's of course the Samsung Unpacked launch next Wednesday, the 10th of August. Kicks off around 2 PM, I believe it is UK time. So definitely stay tuned and check back here on TechSpurt. Hopefully get some hands-on action for you. Got lots more content flying at your face next week as well. So definitely stay tuned for all of that. And of course, TechSpurt Weekly will be back next Friday. Hopefully it'll suck a little bit less than this one, but I won't guarantee it. But anyway, have yourselves a bloody lovely weekend, everyone. Thank you very much for watching all of this, despite the fact that, frankly, it's probably the worst use of 15 minutes you'll ever have in your entire existence. Please do plug, subscribe, and ding that notifications bell if this somehow hasn't put you off. And yeah, I already said I had a great weekend, but have a double great weekend because you're awesome and you deserve it. Cheers, everyone. Love you.